This is the Lowdown with Bravemumma, a community to see you, hear you, and support you on your journey living with pelvic organ prolapse. Hi there, it is Steph Thompson, your host here. Now today I just want to take a short moment before we get into our interview. I saw a post on Instagram and it really resonated with me enough to want to share it with you in this community. So if you are new here, first of all, a big warm welcome. But I wanted to share this with you because it's a word of caution. It said something along the lines of, you are going to irritate a lot of unhealed people. And I thought to myself, wow, that's really impactful. For any person starting their prolapse journey, I feel like we are in the mindset that we just need to get in there and get it fixed, get it done, get it repaired, go back to our old life. Season 3 is specifically focusing on the healing part of the journey. So I'm going to lovingly suggest to you right now, if you are one of those new people here or to this prolapse world, pause this episode right now. Go back and listen to episodes from Season 1 from people like Sherry Palm who talk about Prolapse 101 in great depth, or even the conversation with Dr. Ray Hodges that talks about prolapse and surgery. There are so many other amazing conversations with physiotherapists. I think it just makes sense to start there and then progressively work through with us from Season 1 to Season 2 before tackling Season 3. So it's entirely up to you what you would like to do. You may join us on this conversation that we recorded with Benedict, who is a breathwork facilitator. Now, we recorded it a few weeks ago because, as you're very quickly going to learn, she's on the other side of the world in Germany with a beautiful French accent. Benedict has been doing this work for so many years and really has found how we connect our breath, our head, and our body and our prolapse. She's also a mum of 3 and has that lived experience with prolapse. I know she's going to give you so much value if you are ready to hear it and receive it. And I would love for you to stick around at the end of the episode as well, because for the first time, if you're watching this on our YouTube, I'm going to be sharing something really special with you. But let's get into our chat with Benedict. Oh, Benedict, I'm so grateful to have you here today. Thank you for joining us. Now, I know that we have spoken to women from around the globe, but never someone who's living in Germany. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, my pleasure, my honor to be with you, Steph.
Now, I've asked you to come on and share your journey because you have lived with prolapse for so long, being a mum of 3. And I think what you're doing now in particular with breath work and holistic health really resonates with how our Season 3 is panning out. So I think, we kind of set off air. You came to me at the right time, at the right place for a reason. So I would love to just start by asking you, when you first discovered you had prolapse, what was the first kind of initial thing that you did to try and resolve it, fix it, treat it, whatever you want to call that?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It was more like fixing. No, I'm not making it worse. So I was told, like so many women, you need an operation. This is the only thing you can do. And I was even told after my second birth, I was diagnosed with prolapse after my first baby. And after the second one, they even told me physiotherapy will not even help. But because, not that my grade was bad, because it was a surgeon and they didn't believe in it. Anyway, so from day one, when I discovered that, I was like, I am going to show the whole world. I'm going to fix myself holistically. Somehow I had that from the beginning. And when I mean holistically, is like, like looking at what can I do myself, like with my nutrition, with my alignment, with my stress level, because of course it was a long journey to discover all this, but I was like first saying, okay, when do I have symptoms? And then I realized it was a lot when I was after eating, or because I was not aligned with my body. And then down the line, quite quickly, I realized my emotion was bringing me symptoms. So this is where, so my journey was really like, at the beginning, I was like, I want to not make it worse. I think my aim was not to make it worse.
Okay.
Now I changed my mind already. I want to reverse it. But
Right. I love how you just said that I want to reverse it and you didn't say fix it. I think that piece is really important for anyone listening right now. We are not here to teach people or to really let women think that they need to fix something, that they're actually broken. I've said I feel broken. I have felt broken. A lot of women feel broken, so they think the answer to feeling broken is fixing. But in fact, reversing, healing, even just using those type of words, I think are going to give people way more hope. Like if you can't fix it, if you cannot have surgery, if the physiotherapy is not working, if the pessaries are not working, if everything you tried is just not working and you feel broken, perhaps that healing part holistically could be something you can control, right? So I just want to go back to something you mentioned when you were eating and you had the symptoms. What type of things, first of all, were you eating? And then what type of things have you now changed to in your diet daily to help with symptoms? That's interesting.
Yeah, so for me, it was, I've never been very constipated. So it was not the constipation part of it. It was more the bloating part of it. And
okay,
I was like, after my first child, I was like so bloated. I was like looking like an 8-month pregnant woman after each meal. And of course, we lose our core muscles and, I might have been bloated before and I've not noticed it. So I could notice it very much. And then on top of that, I had the pressure coming down. So I could not eat my prolapse. So for me, I went down the road, okay, what makes me bloated?
Yeah.
And I have taken, from like, I was like not aware of whatever I was doing, I was
Just,
more than, I was, because I've been like this lady to diet all my life, like very extreme, either or, fasting for 15 days or binging on food and wine. And, so I knew a lot about nutrition, but the wrong things, thinking like, I left butter. So I said there is no butter in my life anymore. But then I was eating Philadelphia. I don't know about, this
the
kind
cream
of
cheese.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But this has so much chemical in it, which was not good for my hormones and things like that. So I went really from the bottom of the, learning the nutrition, saying, okay, I need to read the label first. And then I need to understand what I put in my body. And then I think having a baby changed also the way I wanted to nourish myself. I realized also I wanted to go back to what my mom or my grandma was doing. It was really interesting and going to really like, the source and, like real food and things like that. So it was like a super interesting process, but it's really, really helped me. And since I always say, since I read the label and I just didn't really put on weight anymore, and I didn't have this because there is so much.
Yes.
So it helped also with the bloating. So, I was like, at the time living in Italy, so pasta was a big thing. And then I realized that each time I was eating the pasta, bread made me really bloated, processed food. So this is how I went on to my journey to just kind of eliminate those foods and really look into getting more bloated, less bloated, sorry. And also really fixing my gut. We say gut health is so important, but maybe you don't understand how it is important. It's because if you look at your gut health, you are less constipated, you are less bloated, and therefore you feel less yourself.
Yes, which then in turn, if you've got less physical symptoms and you're not constipated and your pressure's not as much, then your emotional things improve and everything starts to improve. I think it's really hard to hear someone say that, I eliminated pasta and I eliminated bread when our Western diet is so carbohydrate heavy. And then, like you said, one diet says, don't eat carbohydrates, eat keto. Don't do this, eat this. And so it's very confusing. And I think I would love to see some dietary guidelines for women with prolapse, specifically because what we need is very different to what other people may need. But ultimately, would you say that just having things from Mother Nature, so lots more vegetables and a lot more fruit, has been the replacement for those things? Is that kind of what you've replaced it with?
Yeah. So again, it was a journey, but I very really looking to nourish myself. So I will always exactly say, I want things which are the product, like it's not going to be like self-bought lasagna or, like it's much better to do it yourself. Or, but also like the ingredient is a product, the broccoli is a broccoli. A broccoli doesn't really have a label, or, and of course I'm taking probably the less sexy example because
But I get what you mean. Yeah, I now look at a food before I eat it and I don't think of the calories or anything. I just say, do you have natural nutrients that are going to help me? Yes, eat it. No, think about it. Do you really need it? Sometimes you really need it. You just need the chocolate. Sometimes you just really need the pasta, but not all the time, right?
Yes, exactly. And it's really being like more asking yourself and not being on autopilot, like just not going and grabbing the food or, when we are stressed or when we are lonely, sad, whatever emotion we have, we often go to food. Not always, but some people don't eat, but I will tend to go to eat something. And then now I will still do it less than before because I'm working on my emotion, but we are still human and I'm still doing it. But then I don't have those things in the house, which can, actually I didn't have them. Now I might have them sometimes for the kids and my husband, but then you could also ask me, why do you have that for them? It's another question. But I know that I am worked so much on me and I don't need that anymore. I really don't need it anymore. And I really just go on nourishing food.
Right. And would you say that was similar in terms of your alcohol intake and things like that? Are you on that journey of not drinking alcohol anymore?
Oh, it's such a good question. And I love your podcast. And I think I feel like you're like super courageous to talk about it. I stopped alcohol the same time as you last year. Exactly.
Amazing.
In January 2022. And wine, let's put it this way. I was a bit, as I said, very extreme, very, either or. I had also before I was working in corporate, traveling a lot. So, like going out or in a restaurant, having the glass of wine or the second one or the third one, living the life like super stressful. And anyway, so when I started my health journey, which I would say my Prolapse journey, I then reduced my variety of alcohol. So I was like not maybe saying, I said, okay, I'm stopping the hardcore alcohol like whiskey, vodka, all this. I will just only, because I need to be careful, only go on wine, because being French,
of course, a French woman drinking wine, it just goes hand in hand.
And it's okay. It's really also an interesting thing because it's identity. I am French, red wine, of course. So, and I was really saying everything but not wine. So I will really keep on drinking wine. And then I was on my health journey. I was stopping gluten. I was stopping sugar, refined sugar, and even natural sugar. I'm reducing a lot because I know that it is making me weaker, my muscle weaker. It's then I feel my prolapse more. But the wine was, I never wanted to look into it. Never. I said, this is my little things that I can still have for me. And fair enough, it's a journey. And very interestingly, I started to do some, I stopped for 6 weeks. I stopped for 8 weeks. And then I did that and I started meditating in 2021. In December. So, and I stopped twice alcohol, like for a couple of weeks in 2021. And in January 2022, after Christmas, after lots of party, lots of wine, I was feeling I didn't have enough sleep. We were traveling, visiting our family. So no sleep, not the food I normally eat. So I was feeling so symptomatic, too much alcohol. So I was really like a mess.
Not good.
Physically, like really bad. And I said to myself, I'm going to do dry January. And interestingly, I didn't want to tell anyone. I had deep in me kind of a feeling I will stop forever. But I said, I'm not telling anyone because I was afraid of that. I was afraid to say that to myself as well. I was, anyway. So I did dry January, went really well. Said, okay, we're not continuing. I had a friend coming over one weekend and I used to drink with her and it was so hard. And I actually said, okay, let's have a glass of wine. And she stopped me. She said, no, Benedict, keep going. And I think this was a turning point, right? And then, and then once, so it was hard. I mean, it was not hard. It was like
a challenge.
It was challenging when we were back. I mean, when I was back with my tribe, when I was back with some friends, which I used to drink with my brother, with my sisters. But what I am amazed, and I think I shared it with you in a writing message when you did your podcast, breathwork helped me a lot. Because me loving my wine, this also mommy wine culture on Friday, on Thursday night, maybe already, saying like, oh my God, I need my wine to relax. Oh my God, I need it. I can't do that anymore. I was really into that. I was really afraid to miss it. And I don't think I would be, I was not trusting myself I could do it, but breathwork helped. I'm sure breathwork helped me a lot because I am not missing it. And everyone around me, starting with myself, are so surprised, saying like, oh my God, how are you managing this? How? And I'm like, actually, I'm not sure. I don't know. But no, and I think I know. Just to finish it, to conclude it, I think breathwork have feel of my soul. I would say something like you have a primary food and secondary food, and you have a food for your soul and a food to nourish your body. And I think I did find with breathwork my primary food, my food to nourish my soul.
That's amazing. And I think that, so breath work is kind of the next phase that I'm sharing with everyone now, going into just trialing myself. I still feel very clunky, like I'm not quite doing it right, but I'm trying and I'm persisting, because it's like when a child doesn't know how to read, we don't say, oh, well, just give up then. You have to keep teaching and keep practicing. And so breathwork is, I actually came across, how I got into it was from a fellow podcaster who, she also does breathwork, and she was in one of the courses that I teach. And I was like, you're amazing. Just her aura. She was so calm. She was a mum of 2 very young children. And I'm like, how are you like that? I want a bit of that. And then she explained the journey of breathwork and what breathwork entails. And obviously you got into it because it's part of your holistic health journey, but maybe in a nutshell, how did you get to the point where you can just do it and not have to feel awkward and a bit, I don't know if I'm doing it right?
It's also a journey. I really break it in 3, actually. I started, because everybody is calling that breath work. I mean, for me, breath work is really like the heavy, the heavy things, the heavy, like, let's do it. Yeah. But but it's also like just deeply breathing breathwork. Yeah. But I call it more conscious breathing. And I started conscious breathing when I became a mom. I had so many emotions coming up, so many anger and frustration by not being able to control the situation, by not understanding, when you ask them to put their shoes 10 times and they don't answer and you just like explode, or when they don't want to go to bed. And oh my God, I was like an explosion, like I became red. And then I noticed also, okay, this is not good for my pelvic floor, because as soon as I explode, for me, I am an explosive person. So my pelvic floor, I would say, will be gone. It will just be gone.
It hurts when you yell, doesn't it? Like whenever I yell, it's like a yo-yo bounces in my pelvic floor and it really hurts. I'm like, stop yelling, but I'm really angry.
Exactly. So, and I started, so I was like, okay, what are those all these emotions? Because I need to understand, to also look after my pelvic.
Yeah.
And okay, all parenting course tell you, get out of the room, breathe 3 times, come back. I did that. So this is what my first touch point with breathing. You reach deep, conscious, deep breathing. And then, so I was doing that and I realized, oh, this is helping. And then, long story short, I was in corporate, but became a health coach so I changed my complete career. I just left corporate to help women like us now. And during my health coach journey, I learned, which was a big aha moment, that the first things which is overlooked in people's health journey in general, but super important for us, is the stress. If you are stressed, you cannot heal. And I always explain it, if you drive a car on 200 km on the motorway, you cannot repair it. You have to stop on the side to repair it. And it is the same with our body. If we are highly stressed, always looking at perfectionism, always looking at, fears, or if we are anxious, we cannot heal. And when I mean heal, it's we cannot rest, we cannot regenerate, and I know it might sounds very, not very concrete, but we need to be in a relaxed state to be able to do like proper cells, like to regenerate our cells in a better way and things like that. So this was my big learning as a health coach. And then I said, okay, breathing, I just started to implement 5 minutes a day. Okay. And when I was going to bed with the kid, because I was tired in the evening, I was lying with them. I had the girl were 4, 2, and then I had my last one 0, I was trying to manage them all. And then I was just lying with the girls and then breathing for 5 minutes. I was often falling asleep, but I also brought them that as well as a tool. I was saying, breathe with mommy. And then, good. And then, so it was my second stage of integrating breathing. And then I realized how much resilience I was becoming. And when I say resilience to stress is you're not going to have less stress in your life. The stress is going to be here, but it's about seeing the stressful situation in a less, it doesn't touch you as much. Or you are more, you are kind of more, I would say more relaxed. You are more resilient. Or, like I said, the glass was full before and I just managed to just empty it a little bit because you kind of relax yourself. You let the stress of the day go with your breathing, things like that. And then I said oh God, this is such a tool. I need to learn it more. And I need to learn it more for myself, but also for my clients. And I remember when I went into what I call breathwork, it's a very intense now, breathing in different pattern and going really into the meditative state to just really relax deeply or let go on stress and traumas. When I went into this, I actually I told the teacher, I think I know, I just see the top of the iceberg. And it was true. I was just seeing the 4% we see from the iceberg. Yeah. This is such a huge topic and so incredibly fascinating. It's fascinating.
And it's impactful too, isn't it? Like when you actually have a little taste of the relief that it can give you through breath work. Today I might be looking a little bit disheveled, but because I have been to one of my very first healing sessions with I don't know what you call them. They're not a coach, they're not a mentor, they're like a facilitator.
Mm-hmm.
And I was meant to go for 1 hour. And I can share with you, Benedict, I was there for
Please.
nearly 3.5 hours. And there was a lot of breathing and a guided breathing. So she's like, okay, deep breath in. And then the out breath was like, I had to make the noise because I don't know about you, but I feel like a lot of women who live with prolapse, we breathe like little goldfish out of water because we're holding on and we're like this. And all the breath is here, right? Because there's just so much trying to just hold your bladder in or trying to hold your rectocele and just try not to fall apart doing basic things like taking your children to school. So we're always up here. And so having all of this, this breath work today, I was like, oh, wow, I couldn't describe it to my husband. I struggled to really come up with the words to say how much there was a shift. I literally felt something coming up the whole entire time while she was doing body work. I felt like I was going to vomit, actually. There's so much trauma. There is so much things that we are just holding on in our pelvis. Like, I think we've touched on it in the show that we know trauma and emotion is held in the pelvic region for women. Today, I learned that we took a bit of a deeper dive, and she said, because the feminine energy is in your womb, that's where life is created. Like, this is where it all begins. And if that has had any type of trauma, if you hold on to it and don't let it out and let it breathe, it will make your symptoms worse. I know that can sound a little bit far-fetched for black and white masculine and energy thinking, because that's me. I was like, I've read prolapse healing books and just went, good luck to them. That's great. If it works for them, good for them. It's never going to work for me. However, this is why having conversations with amazing people like you, because are you able to share from your journey that you've been on for quite a number of years? Have you felt your symptoms dissipate a little bit or a lot? I don't know. I don't want to put the words in your mouth there.
No, but I just also want to go back to what you said. It is so difficult to describe. You couldn't describe to your husband. But I feel, okay, it's the first time I'm with you live, but I feel you are very relaxed energy now. So you said you feel super relaxed. And this deep relaxation and whatever happened during breath work, it is so difficult to explain to people. And it's why I always say, come and try, please. Because once you try, you're never going to want to let go anyway. But for me, and it's why also I wanted to make the journey to those women shorter. I've been on the journey since 8 years. I started breath work a year ago. And it has been a massive shift, massive, And I'd like to share, probably what's the biggest things. And the first time I really share it to the world.
I feel very honored.
No, I released my prolapse trauma.
Okay.
So what's happened with breath work, maybe just going back, because also people might be scared to say I don't want to go there. I don't want to go and release traumas and things like that. And I always say, well, the beautiful things with breathwork, it's an empowering process. You actively engage with your body to release stress. Yeah. So this is the first thing. You are in control all the time. And then I also believe very much that whatever happened during breathworks happened because your body is ready to take it.
Okay,
Things will not come up if you are not ready.
I love
Okay.
that.
So, and then the breath work, what's happened as well is like, we know we are all in our head all the time, like thinking
Yes.
this is our beta wave. And the we are like always our things are, we become, if we are overactive, it's become anxious and it become, and then we don't really think properly. And then the breath work, what's happened is when you breathe really deeply, you shut down your
All the
prefrontal
noise.
cortex. Yeah, exactly. So you don't really think and you go in a very emotional, meditative state. Yeah. And so this is where, you can like, you breathe a lot and then you are very relaxed. And because you shut those thoughts, you go into your subconscious a little bit.
Yes.
And then this is what we say when you can heal, you can heal your inner child, you can heal a couple of stuff
you
which
feel.
happened.
When you feel, you can heal. That's my new favorite
Oh,
saying
yeah.
at the moment.
Oh,
When
it's
you
beautiful.
let
Yeah.
yourself feel, you can heal. If you're just trying to get through the day hard and, protective, but if you can let it feel, then you can heal. So when it comes to your physical symptoms now, how are they different for you in 1 year?
Oh, yeah. So the day I released my prolapse hormone, I can tell just a little bit about it. The week after, it was terrible. But then I suddenly felt a shift. Yeah.
Okay.
And every time, so this was my big release. Yeah. But every time I release something, and it doesn't have to be big,
Okay.
but it doesn't have to be big. Sometimes, I just say like, this is the onion, every time you do breath work, you kind of take a layer out, and then you will come to the core. Or it's like your body is lots of knots, and every breath work, you get a knot out, So therefore, what you were saying about your friends, how does she is so calm and how does she look so whatever, like vibrant? And it is because we come to our core and we just like go back to what is super important and what is, our self-worth and let go on limiting belief and let go on, I would call, to be honest, between us pressure, because you say like, we need to hold, we need to do. Like I think lots of us are type A people, perfectionist, doesn't want to ask for help. I can manage it all on my own. Pressure, 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 pressure. And we don't need this pressure.
Wow.
I'm
curious. I've always just got the thing that's coming to me now is I'd be really curious to know if they are, quoting statistics like 50% of females will experience prolapse within their lifetime. How many of those are the A-type personalities?
Yes.
That would be I'm just curious to think, because I hear that often. I resonate with that. And then I think about the other women in our community and I can see elements of that, just thinking, okay, well, because if we understand it better, right, and we understand ourselves and we understand our personality types, for our future girls, for your daughters and for my daughter, when you can see the writing on the wall, I think then the education can be provided.
Yeah.
And we can't change their path, but we can certainly enlighten their path so that if it does happen, they don't have to feel so blindsided. And I would only hope that they've got the tools like breath work, like holistic health, so that they can use them should they need to and want to. I don't know about you, but prior to Prolapse, did you really know about breath work?
I knew about nothing, I didn't even know prolapse was existing like most of it. I was not healthy. I was highly stressed. And I was saying, and I know it's super hard to hear for some of the people, but prolapse was a blessing for me. And I know it's hard when you're at the beginning of your journey to hear this. But it changed my path. It changed my health. I am now doing something with purpose But really, it's also like, I am looking after myself. I am starting to love myself more and more and more every day. And if I would have not had my products, I would have probably continued to live the way I was living, being like at the end of the road, probably with chronic disease and things like that. I'm not saying I'm not going to have it, but I do everything in my control to not have it.
Yes.
I
That is
wanted to
amazing.
go back to, you said like we hold the pressure all the time and we like breathe like little fish, And when we breathe from the top of our chest, we are sending a message to our brain that we are in a fight and flight situation, that we are stressed. Okay. So again, this is this between the stress mode and the relax mode, just by taking deep breaths. This is telling our brain, like when we need to hit the brake when we are in the car to avoid an accident. Of course we need to be stressed at some point in our life, but we cannot be stressed all the time. So yes, this is where, okay, you stop breathing so you breathe shallow, you just push the brakes, your heart is beating, like you are in your fight and flight. But we shouldn't be like that all the time. So I really invite everybody to really be aware of your breath during the day. How do you breathe during the day? How do you breathe when you are on social media? How do you breathe when you are working? How do you breathe? Because we hold our breath, we breathe shallow, we do everything wrong, to be honest.
Wow.
Me as well, but because I brought breathwork into my life now, I noticed a change in actually during the day that I breathe much more deeper and things like that. But I still sometimes hold my breath, so, but really bring your awareness, because if you breathe from the top of your chest, it's just tell your brain you are in danger. So by just breathing deeply, and,
I love that.
you just tell yourself you are fine, you are safe.
You're okay.
Mm.
I tell you what, I would absolutely love if, our metaverse decided that, because they know how long we're scrolling on Instagram or Facebook, that instead of after every 4 posts and an ad of selling you something and yelling at you, it'd be like, okay, we're all going to take a breath, world.
Yeah.
Everyone breathe in and breathe out. Like, imagine how much that would actually, just thinking, and it would probably make people stay longer because they're more relaxed, rather than, I know if I've been on there too long, because my jaw starts to really hurt from clenching at the irritating things that I'm like, you just need to scroll past them. It's none of your business. But still, when you finish that session, you still like lock jaw. And one of our guests from, I think, season 1 told us that however you are in your mouth here is how you are in the openings in your pelvic floor. So if you're tight in the jaw, you're probably going to be too tight down there and not in a good way.
Yes, exactly.
So I really see breath work as, I'm leaning into this with all I've got at the moment. And I know that probably after this season, I'll need to take a little break to trial it, because everything that I do, I want to make sure that I can talk about like I know what I'm talking about. But at the moment, I'm still so new. This is why we invite you on to help us. Just before we finish, is there something, because now that we're putting this on YouTube and people can also watch it, is there something that our listeners can do right now while they've got us plugged in or while they're watching or listening to just take that breath and really try and get out of that heightened state to that relaxed state? Could you show us? Could you demonstrate?
Yeah, there is a super tips to do a breathwork technique, which is bringing you instantly to relaxation. Yeah, and it has been scientifically proven and things like that. So it's called the physiological sigh. So you will take one big breath, and then on the top you take a little zip of air, you hold for 15 seconds, and you let go with a sigh. So I should go. Ah,
Okay, I love
I was
that.
probably not holding 15 seconds, but really this, and then
Extra.
hold for 15 seconds, and then let's go with the sides. This is
Okay.
shown that you are instantly relaxed. And then if you do that 5 minutes a day, you will increase your resilience.
That's amazing. I love that. I've been taught a couple of different strategies, but I just wanted to hear it from you, which one you think is, impactful so people can just try that right now. I do just before we finish, is there anything else that you would love to share with our community in regards to breath work in terms of taking the first step? Because I know that you're offering free breath work classes for women around the globe, which I'm very grateful for. I will definitely be putting some links in the show notes where people can potentially join and find you, because I know that you run them regularly. But is there any last bit of advice you would like to share with our listeners in regards to breath work and their prolapse?
Yeah, I would say really try. Come and try. Don't be afraid. Of course, if you are like, you would like to try something holistically, and because it has a super depth, it's amazing for yourself, your physical body, to bring you into a very deep relaxation. And it's why when I said I don't have symptoms, I have less symptoms. It's really because my body is so much more relaxed. So as you say, the jaw is always tense. My butt was always tense. My tummy, I had always a point in my tummy because I was always sucking my tummy. And even if I was aware of it, now it's gone. So with breath work, you can really go into an extremely deep relaxation with stays, and I have that with people I work with. It stays, for
Yes.
weeks, and then you keep on doing it, and then so it's a very subtle but very deep thing. So I would say come and try. Yeah, don't
That's
be
amazing.
afraid.
Thank you so much, Benedict, for coming and chatting with us today.
Thank
I
you,
really
Fanny.
appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Isn't it amazing how we can literally be bringing women from around the globe into this one space to be having conversations about pelvic organ prolapse? I would actually be curious to find out what your top takeaway was from this conversation with Benedict about breath work. You can either leave it in the comments below, or you can send a private direct message on our Instagram at Bravemumma. And just before we go, I did promise at the start of this conversation that I was going to be showing you something new if you are watching this on our YouTube channel. It is the Empowered Motherhood program. And this was actually created by our guests who joined us on episode 67. So women's pelvic floor physiotherapist Liz Evans and Kimmy Smith, who's an exercise specialist, a mum of 3 and has lived experience with prolapse and incontinence, teamed up to create something for women who are prenatal, postnatal, and living with prolapse. I love in particular that they've got a whole section for pelvic floor safe exercises. They're obviously tried and tested by both of them, but what it does, it takes you through week by week on how to gradually build up your own strength to return to the types of exercise that you want to do, that you love. Now, another thing I also love about this is that they have a journal. So when we're talking about our healing journey, we're not just talking about everything physical. It has a journal every day where you can ask yourself these questions. How do I want to feel today? My daily movement today is, I'm taking care of my well-being by, and I will nourish my body with. Those 4 really simple questions can get us into such a great headspace for the day so that we can be intentional with our healing. Healing is not about waving a magic wand, right? It's about taking the steps that we need to be able to feel better. So when I reached out to the girls to ask if we were able to support our Bravemumma community even further, there was no hesitation from them. They are giving us 10% off for the lifetime of our membership with this app. I will leave a link in the show notes where you can have a look at the website and check it out for yourself. So until next week, bye for now.
Mama.